in Woodbine Mall. Oh, yeah!
We're buying your gold, silver, jewelry, diamonds, watches and purses. We can also loan you money on anything we buy.
All at Woodbine Mall. Oh, yeah!
Air Canada will have to cut on more than half of its workforce to deal with the impact of COVID-19.
All planned summer camps and summer recreation programs will be cancelled based on the advice of our public health professionals.
It's official. All City of Toronto summer camps and rec programs cancelled. We'll have more on that coming right up. And the May long weekend is here, and we are checking to see if cottagers are adhering to advice from officials to stay home. 8 o'clock and 15 degrees. This is Toronto's breaking news, CP24. Good evening. I'm Nick Dixon. And let's start right now with a look at the latest COVID-19 case numbers. New numbers in Toronto have been steady for the past 3 days. 160 new cases reported today. That includes 9 more deaths. Those numbers contributing to the new provincial total of almost 22,000 cases and more than 1,800 deaths. Across the country, there are now more than 74,000 cases and 5,500 deaths. Globally, there are 4.5 million cases and 306,000 deaths. That's according to Johns Hopkins University. Well, Air Canada has announced it will have to cut over half of its workforce. The company says it will have to reduce its overall workforce by approximately 50 to 60% for the foreseeable future. That is about 20,000 of its 38,000 employees. The airline plans to retain the rest of its employees to continue its current operations, which are down 75% from the same time last year. As of May 4th, Air Canada had eliminated 95% of its flights. The company has asked for government assistance, but Ottawa hasn't committed anything yet. And the pandemic has now forced the cancellation of more programs and events in the city. 2020 summer camps and recreation programs, they've been scrapped. The city is preparing an alternative to get children safely back to camp through a new Camp TO program. If permitted to operate, Camp TO will provide 5,300 camp spaces per week for children ages 6 to 12. That represents approximately 50% of the typical City of Toronto camp capacity.
I know this decision will upset many families, and it will cause hardship for those who rely on these camps and programs the most. But nothing is more important than the health of our children. We just cannot put them at risk by having programs that may not fit within the context of conditions as we find them. And, of course, there's a lot of advanced planning that has to be done, decisions that have to be made today as opposed to some later time. In our current environment, where it hasn't been yet deemed safe to have the schools open, we can hardly be going full steam ahead with summer camps, though we're going to have a more modest Plan B ready if things continue to improve, as we all hope that they do.
With respect to the health benefits, both for the children and the families in respect of camps, we know that it certainly has been an active point of discussion amongst medical officers of health around the province. And we are certainly engaging our provincial colleagues on this issue because of the many benefits associated with attendance at camp. So, trying to still be mindful of our COVID-19 circumstances, trying to balance out all the various benefits and risks. That's a very active discussion.
Now, the city has also announced the cancellation of all events and permits with crowds of more than 250 people until at least July 31st. That means the Beaches Jazz Festival, the Honda Indy, Salsa on St. Clair, and the Toronto Triathlon won't be held this year. Events that bring more than 25,000 people have been canceled through the end of August. That includes Taste of the Danforth, Jerk Fest, Taste of Manila, and the Toronto Chinatown Festival. Now, the cancellation of Taste of the Danforth is certainly another blow to the city's restaurant industry, particularly in that area. CP24's Beatrice Vaisman joins us now live with more on this. I mean, Taste of the Danforth, Beatrice, just draws so many people and attracts so many people who are hungry.
Yeah, 1.5 million people, in fact, Nick, over the span of 3 days. And there's not much more that says summer in Toronto like Taste of the Danforth. I know I spent countless August evenings here enjoying a souvlaki, a sweet corn, and some Greek fries, and that's unfortunately not going to happen this year. This is a decision that was announced by the city today, and while it's a major disappointment for so many business owners here in Greektown, it doesn't come as a big surprise. More than 1 million people over the span of 3 days and a weekend in August. At this point, just based on the way things are going with COVID-19, it's simply not feasible, according to the mayor. Just add that also to the grief that so many of these restaurant owners have been facing over the last 2 months. In fact, it's been almost 2 months to the day, Nick, that they've been ordered to shut down their doors. I just spoke with the owner of Pantheon here on the Danforth, and she had tears in her eyes describing how her restaurant has essentially been forced to shut in half. So she's now closed half of it. They're undergoing renovations in the other half, and she says it's so hard for her to come to work, barely survive, and look at the other half of her restaurant that she's now had to give up just to be able to pay the bills and make it through this pandemic. Here's more from Olga from Pantheon, as well as Councillor Paula Fletcher, who represents this ward.
I'm losing 90% as it is right now. Forget about Taste of Danforth. That's even more. But right now, since they closed us, it's two people operation, just me and my husband. So we lost 90% of the revenue.
Well, for these business owners that rely on those days to really make a good amount of money from the 1 million people that come here, that's going to be a big blow. And I'm very happy the mayor said, we'll look at other ways of drawing people down to this street, which is a signature street. Everybody knows the Danforth. Everybody comes to the Danforth. But let me say, because of that, with these merchants and these businesses, it's more important than ever that people come and support the Danforth, that they love in August. They have to start loving it all year round.
So if you can afford to come down here tonight, have a souvlaki and take some home to your family as well. Of course, restaurant owners would be incredibly happy to see you here on the Danforth. I just spoke to the owner of Megas here as well. He tells me the event can bring in up to $70,000. So you can imagine, Nick, how tough this is for all these restaurant owners that have just been struggling over the last 2 months already. The city's saying if all goes well, we could look at possibly rescheduling Taste of the Danforth to later this fall. But of course, that's still a big question mark as of now. So souvlaki will have to wait, at least eating it in the streets with hundreds and thousands of other people. Back to you.
Yeah, all right, Beatrice Vaisman live from the Danforth. Thanks, Beatrice. Well, it appears golfers haven't wasted any time getting back in the swing of things after the province announced those courses could reopen. Golfers can start teeing off as of tomorrow. Private and public golf courses getting the green light last week to start prepping their fairways and greens. The City of Toronto says all public courses will open up tomorrow, and golfers say this is a sport that allows for physical distancing. Some courses we've heard from say the phones have just been ringing off the hook.
There were some leaks, apparently, that we were getting calls Monday, Tuesday saying, I hear you can open this weekend, but until we got the official word, we couldn't. So literally as of 1:30 yesterday, we're waiting. Premier Ford made his announcement, and at 1:33, the phone started ringing. And at 1:45, we have 3 dedicated phone lines here. They were lit up off and on constantly for 4 hours. And we sold out tomorrow, probably 175 golfers in a matter of 3 hours, 3.5 hours.
Also starting tomorrow, marinas will open for people to access their boats for travel purposes. Recreational boating, however, that can't start until Tuesday. Public swimming pools, well, they remain closed. Now, many businesses will be spending the long weekend getting ready to reopen their doors on Tuesday. While customers will be able to come inside, the number of customers in a store is going to be based on square footage. Alternatively, appointments can be booked. Non-essential repair shops can reopen, and people will be able to get their pets groomed and book vet appointments. Today, the Premier says he isn't forcing any cities or businesses to reopen, and the decision is ultimately left up to the businesses.
I comment to all the mayors. We have 444 municipalities. We got into this together. We're going to get out of it together. And no one is putting a gun to anyone's head to open businesses. If businesses aren't ready to open and Mayor Crombie doesn't think the businesses in Mississauga are ready, by all means, don't open up.
Now, the city of Brampton has announced the reopenings of select recreational amenities. Brampton's 21 outdoor tennis and pickleball courts will open on Tuesday, and the Peel Village Golf Course, that's going to open next Friday. Mayor Patrick Brampton issued a statement tonight which reads, as the city of Brampton makes available additional services, including our city golf course, we are doing so in a careful manner that puts user safety first and foremost. As a healthy and safe city, we are excited to see residents maintaining an active lifestyle, and we are taking the necessary steps to safely reopen these services that residents rely on. Well, it is certainly a sign of the times, as there will be no fireworks on this Victoria Day long weekend. You're not going to see any of that. The city says if you'd like to see this annual tradition, well, you can follow its Twitter page for some virtual fireworks. The city's also reminding people that fireworks are not allowed in city parks and that any gatherings of more than 5 people who aren't part of a single family are prohibited. Of course, this is the Victoria Day long weekend, and it appears most cottagers are adhering to advice to stay away. Typically, we'd see a mass exodus starting on the Friday of the Victoria Day long weekend with heavy traffic northbound on the 400, but it was a much different story today. There weren't many vehicles on the roads, and those who were heading north said they were prepared for their stay. Many cottage country mayors have expressed concern over the potential influx of visitors this long weekend. They say people visiting from the GTA could unwittingly transport COVID-19 to smaller communities and that their healthcare systems could not handle potential outbreaks. The Premier has been urging people who need to go and check on their properties to follow the rules, including physical distancing. Well, Toronto police have made the rare move of identifying a teen boy wanted for a fatal shooting last night. Police got the court's permission to identify 17-year-old Narwas Nagara of Toronto. He's wanted for first-degree murder and attempted murder. Another suspect wanted on the same charges hasn't been identified, but police say he is an adult. Both suspects are believed to be armed, violent, and dangerous. Now, the suspects are accused of killing 23-year-old Hashim Kanani. He was found in a tow truck suffering from multiple gunshot wounds and was pronounced dead on scene. Kanani was found in the apartment building parking lot on Panorama Court near Kipling and Finch. Multiple witnesses reported hearing gunshots just after 7:30. Police say 3 men were seen running from the area. Just about 8:12 now, 15 degrees. You're watching Toronto's Breaking News, CB24. When we come back, Chris Potter's going to give us the long weekend forecast right after this.
The story of the band was a beautiful thing. It was so beautiful it went up in flames.
Bob Dylan thought they were phenomenal, so he hired the guys.
This didn't sound like anything else.
I thought, this is huge. When they came together, something miraculous occurred.
We wanted to create something you have nothing to compare to.
Have you ever walked into a big fancy car dealership and wondered, who's paying for this place? Shopping for a Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, or Fiat? Log on to PeelChrysler.com. Actual photos, rock bottom prices. Click, shop, buy online. Save big.
Because nobody beats a deal from Peel.
Want to freshen your home without using heavy, overwhelming scents? Try Febreze One, a range of innovative air fresheners with no heavy perfumes that eliminate stale, stuffy odors. Freshen your home with Febreze One.
Together, we're making a difference to stop the spread of COVID-19. As businesses reopen, practice physical distancing, and wear face coverings where distancing is a challenge. Stay safe, save lives. Visit ontario.ca/coronavirus.
Have you ever walked into a big fancy car dealership and wondered, who's paying for this place? Shopping for a Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, or Fiat? Log on to PeelChrysler.com. Actual photos, rock bottom prices. Click, shop, buy online. Save big.
Because nobody beats a deal from Peel.
15 degrees on this Friday evening. Let's check in on the forecast right now. Chris Potter is here. And Chris, golf courses say they are jam-packed with bookings tomorrow. How's the weather looking?
Yeah. Tomorrow, great. Sunday, at least until about 4 to 5. Great. After that, rain moves on in, and it could be heavy at times Sunday evening, Sunday night, into Monday morning. And then Monday, not so great. In terms of the temperatures, normal daytime high at this time of year around 19 degrees. And we did peak around 19 earlier today. Now we're sitting comfortably at 15. The winds are fairly light. That trend will continue tonight. And there will be some dense fog locally, especially to the north. And that's going to be the case until the early morning. So dense fog possible, especially north and west of the downtown core, then mostly sunshine, so it looks like a great day to get out and enjoy as daytime highs climb up towards 19, maybe 20. By Sunday, we start to cloud over early in the morning. Rainfall begins to move in from the southwest, but it should hold off until around 4, maybe 5 for the downtown core. But then Sunday night and into Monday morning, rainfall takes over, and we could be looking at around 50 millimeters of rainfall until Monday late day. So we could see some rainfall warnings, or at least some special weather statements being put out from Environment Canada. Daytime highs take a hit as well, 15 for us on Sunday, 13 on Monday, and then back up to 15 for us on Tuesday by the afternoon. By that point, we should start to clear out. By Wednesday, we should get back into a mix of sun and cloud, highs near 17, 21 for us on Thursday, and then 25 for us on Friday. And it looks like we'll hold on to those mid-20 degree highs for Saturday and Sunday of next week. But for now, we're drying out. We're starting to clear out, and that's going to be the scenario for the overnight. But dense fog will be possible at least until tomorrow morning. Back to you. Sorry,
all right, Chris, thanks for that.
Around.
Time now is 8:16, 15 degrees. Couldn't quite catch that. Sorry, Chris. This is Toronto's breaking news. CP24 officials in France are now investigating after a child dies from a rare condition. We'll have the details for you after the break.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Kimmel, and welcome to the greatest game show ever played, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
CTV Thursday.
You are 5 questions away from $1 million.
Some have gotten oh so close.
You won $250,000.
Others, not so much. This week, see if Dr. Phil can go all the way.
Everyone knows the answer but you.
Yeah, no shit.
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? All new Thursday at 8, 9 Mountain, only on CTV. Then stream anytime.
Paying out this huge amount of cash to you for your gold and diamond jewelry has turned my face and my hair silver. So, I am now buying your sterling silver jewelry. Bring me your silver rings, earrings, necklaces, and bracelets. Oh, yeah.
As alumni, you have no idea what great opportunities lie ahead for you.
Like this one, university alumni could save on average $421 on home and auto insurance. Visit sonnet.ca to see if you're eligible.
Are you near the 401 Shepherd, Finch, or Steeles? Come north and avoid the traffic to 9750 Western Road, just off the 400 at Major Mackenzie Drive in Woodbridge. Oh, yeah.
Many of us do believe that it could be seasonal.
Your COVID-19 questions.
All for one and one for all.
Answered live every weekday morning. Mayor John Tory and Dr. Isaac Bogosh. Email your questions to now@cp24.com. Closed captioning of this CP24 program is brought to you in part by Atlantis Bath Centers. Beautiful ideas to elevate your bath and kitchen environments beyond extraordinary. Just add water.
The Los Angeles County Coroner has released the autopsy for late NBA star Kobe Bryant, his daughter, and the 7 others killed in the helicopter crash earlier this year. Now, the report showed that blunt force trauma caused the deaths of all 9 victims. They also confirmed that the crash was accidental. The coroner's report comes nearly 4 months after the tragedy in Calabasas, California. The group was on its way to a basketball game when the aircraft went down. Students in BC can head back to school as of June 1st. Premier John Horgan announcing today that classes will reopen on a part-time basis and a voluntary basis as well. There will also be a limited number of students per class, and start times and recesses will be staggered throughout the day. For elementary schools, there will be 50% in-class instruction, and for middle and high schools, that drops to 20% or 1 day a week. Students must also commit to strict cleaning rules and follow public health measures. The official school year won't be extended, but the Premier says he's working on a summer school option. 5 Canadian Forces members deployed to long-term care homes have now tested positive for COVID-19. The military says 4 of them are in Quebec and 1 is in Ontario. Nearly 1,700 soldiers are currently working in nursing homes where regular staff have been overwhelmed by the virus. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says the federal government is considering paying those military members extra, as it would be on hazardous deployments abroad. The Canadian Forces is promising updates on those deployed to nursing homes every 2 weeks. Well, the spring lobster season is now open across much of the Maritimes, and fishermen began setting their traps this morning. However, some say the Prime Minister's announcement yesterday of financial support for the fishing sector isn't going to be enough.
When you're dealing with lobster fishing, you're dealing with hundreds of thousands of dollars a year between expenses and everything else, eh? So $10,000 don't go too far.
This week, the federal government said it would invest $470 million to support fish harvesters. Those eligible, as you just heard, can collect up to $10,000. Fishermen are worried about the upcoming season, and many say they're not sure how physical distancing guidelines will work on boats. The season opened 2 weeks later than usual in an effort to address concerns with the pandemic. McDonald's will soon restart in-person takeout services at 30 of its locations across the country. Some McDonald's locations have remained open through the pandemic, serving food by courier or drive-through. This new announcement means customers will be able to enter these 30 outlets to pick up their orders. McDonald's says it will have limits on the number of customers allowed inside, and it promises to frequently clean high-touch areas. U.S. President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida will partially reopen this weekend as the state continues to lift its lockdown restrictions. The resort's reopening plans were outlined in an email to its members. Its restaurant and pool will be open after being closed for 2 months, while the hotel rooms will remain closed. Mar-a-Lago members have been instructed to practice physical distancing. Well, President Donald Trump says the U.S. is working with other countries to speed up the development of a vaccine for COVID-19 as part of an initiative dubbed Operation Warp Speed.
We want to get to the solution. We know exactly where the other countries are, and we'll be very happy if they were able to do it. We'll help them with delivery. We'll help them with in every way we can. We have no ego when it comes to this, no ego whatsoever. Operation Warp Speed is also making the necessary preparations to distribute these life-saving treatments at scale.
Trump says the government will be investing in all of the top vaccine candidates from around the world. He says a list of roughly 100 possible vaccines has now been narrowed down to 14 and could be shortened even further. Experts are likely warning that it will take at least 12 to 18 months to develop a vaccine for the public, but the president says he's optimistic one can be developed before the end of the year. Well, the World Health Organization says all countries should have equal access to a COVID-19 vaccine or treatments.
Traditional market models will not deliver at the scale needed to cover the entire globe. Solidarity within and between countries and the private sector is essential if we are to overcome these difficult times. Now is the moment where leaders must come together to develop a new global access policy and an operational tool which will turn the many good intentions expressed in recent weeks into reality.
And the WHO also says it will be releasing a scientific brief on an inflammatory syndrome seen in some children that may be tied to COVID-19.
It's critical to urgently and carefully characterize this clinical syndrome, to understand causality and to describe treatment interventions. Together with our global clinical network for COVID-19, WHO has developed a preliminary case definition and a case report form for multisystem inflammatory syndrome in children.
Now, a 9-year-old boy in France has died reportedly from a rare condition possibly linked to coronavirus. Officials at the Marseille hospital told CNN the child had tested positive for coronavirus but never developed any symptoms. He suffered cardiac arrest and then spent a week in hospital before dying on Saturday from what's being described as a neurological injury linked to the cardiac arrest. Symptoms of the inflammatory syndrome include swollen limbs, skin rashes, and in a severe case, heart attack. Well, the first wave of the pandemic has now been declared under control in the Baltic nations. The leaders of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania are removing travel restrictions between their countries now. Baltic citizens are now able to move freely across the borders. People returning from outside those three countries, though, will still be required to go into quarantine for 2 weeks. Well, cannabis sales in Canada have settled back down to pre-pandemic levels. The interim CEO of Aurora Cannabis says there was a boom in cannabis sales at the start of the pandemic as people stocked up over concerns the supply chain would be impacted. Demand returned to normal last month after the cannabis industry was deemed an essential service. At least one person's died and tens of thousands of others have been displaced after a typhoon hit the eastern Philippines. More than 145,000 people were forced from their homes by the storm, which packed wind gusts of more than 140 kilometers per hour. The storm is expected to remain over parts of Philippines until Sunday. 8:25 now, 15 degrees. You're watching Toronto's breaking news, CP24. We continue to follow the developments in the COVID-19 pandemic. Stay with us for the very latest right after this.
With new info coming in rapidly, CP24 is keeping track of it all. The latest live from public health officials, on air, online, and on the iHeartRadio app. Live on CP24.
Would you like to share what's upsetting you? I'm trying to make this work, but you are so distant.
I'm dead.
Get a taste of the good life.
I had a great life. Now I live in this weird digital afterlife.
Unexpected uploads often have trouble adjusting, especially when you're young and hence, healthy. You know you can walk on water whenever you want.
Let's go.
Little help here?
Hey Toronto, this is Shamima from Plan B Handmade Burgers, Burgers and Bry. We are still open taking orders for pickup and delivery. You may place your orders through Skip the Dishes, Uber Eats, or DoorDash, or call us directly for pickup. Thank you for your support, Toronto.
Hi, I'm Brian Baumler, and when it comes to selecting the perfect window solution, nothing compares to the DraftLog system.
He enjoys windows and doors, helping you brighten your home.
Together, we're making a difference to stop the spread of COVID-19. As businesses reopen, practice physical distancing and wash hands frequently. Stay safe, save lives. Visit ontario.ca/coronavirus.
Structube.com, your online destination to discover a full range of modern furniture at exceptionally low prices. Take advantage now of our free delivery with any purchase over $299. Structube, low prices, amazing styles.
I used to not love wearing an SPF just because I felt like it was so oily and greasy. But with Olay Regenerist Whip SPF 25, it's so lightweight. I love it. I'm Busy Phillips, and I'm fearless to face anything.